Hello, and welcome to Everyday Simple Somatics, a podcast dedicated to helping you find healing through your body's natural wisdom. I'm your host, Dr. Christine Baker. Okay, so yesterday we talked about the importance of sensation tracking, and today we're going to talk about how that skill helps us live in the present, which is a really difficult thing for people that have experienced a lot of trauma or chronic stress. If you don't know who I am, I'm Dr. Christine Baker. I have 13 years of experience working in trauma recovery, and I am a somatic experiencing practitioner, which ultimately means I am a big believer in the fact that not only is trauma and chronic stress stored in our body, but that is the exact reason why we need to bring our body along in the process of mental health recovery and trauma recovery, which is what this podcast is all about. My hope is that each week will be like a 10-minute episode that will share a specific somatic practice that can be used with a specific mental health need or relational need. And my hope is that those episodes are really offering you practical resources to care for and learn about your own nervous system. Currently, we are in a 10-day series that I'm calling the Essential Foundations, and this is all about kind of the basics of the nervous system and somatic therapy before we get into those weekly practical episode drops. So if this sounds like something you might be interested in, I'd love to invite you to like and subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you are watching. Those couple of clicks are going to help you not miss stuff and really help others be able to find these resources too. Okay. So I'm calling this episode the time zone episode because there's this great quote by Bessel van der Kolk where he says, the biggest gift we can give our clients is the ability to stay in the present. And like I said earlier, if you've experienced trauma or chronic stress, that is a really difficult thing to do. And so I heard it described one time, like we've got these three rooms. We've got the past, present, and the future. And when we've experienced a lot of trauma and chronic stress, we can tend to get stuck in the past and the future rooms with it. And our mind is just stuck there, right? Like we're either in the past through like memories and flashbacks and rumination, or in the future through like worry and over planning and future tripping, right? The thing that's really cool though is that our body is always in the present room. So our mind may be kind of running amok amongst the rooms, but our body is always in the present, which is why that tracking episode from yesterday is so important. All of those skills help tether us back to the present room. And that's the really good news, y'all. Tracking those body sensations gives us this always available path back to present living. So no matter how intense the worry is about the future or how real that memory feels, if we can come back to body sensation, it is this always available pathway. And that is what is so cool. And I even remember one of the first things I ever shared on Instagram. I got kind of emotional talking about this idea that like our body is this always available resource to us. And I think for so many people that have experienced trauma and chronic stress, the body doesn't feel like a refuge. It doesn't feel safe. But if we can learn to engage this idea of tracking sensations, it can become this tether. It can become this anchor to the present, right? It can be the thing that pulls us out of a flashback. It can be the thing that pulls us out of anxiety and worry. And the more we can hang out there, the more we can hang out in the present and not in these other two places, guess what? That window of tolerance is going to expand. And so it is just this really redemptive work, if I can use that word, when we have experienced trauma and chronic stress and our body has become this unsafe place. Through these baby step basic skills, we can begin to redeem, what our experience of our body is, which is just really sweet and beautiful, I think. So here's my takeaway for you for today. The goal of sensation tracking is not about forcing yourself to stay in the present. It's about having a pathway back when you notice that your mind has wandered to one of the other rooms. And over time, being able to walk that pathway back through tracking sensations, it's going to build your capacity to live in them now more often. than maybe you have in the past. So tomorrow we are actually going to talk about some other forms of regulation outside of just sensation tracking. So we're going to kind of get more nuanced with what sensation tracking can offer us through these 3 pillars of regulation that we're going to talk about tomorrow. And so if this episode has been helpful or that one sounds exciting to you, I'd love to invite you to like and subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you are currently watching or listening to it on. And if you want to dig deeper, I also would love to invite you to consider joining our Somatic Wellness Collective. This is a monthly learning subscription service. It's a community of people who are all passionate about learning about their nervous system and learning how to nurture it. It includes on-demand classes, monthly live classes that are like Q&As and movement classes and guest lecturers. And it includes this workbook that helps you really apply these truths to your own life. It is just a beautiful group of people. And I'm so grateful to be a part of it. So I would love to invite you to learn more about that. There's a link in the show notes for that. And so remember, your body has innate wisdom. We just have to learn how to listen to it. And that's what I'm here for. I'll see you next time.